So we're just cutting these up into smaller pieces, and it'll all go into that soup that everybody has loved today. We will let that simmer for a good while longer. Try and get all those tastes all blended good in together. It sure does smell good though.
And then you can sprinkle a little bit of that sauce on the top, like a little extra sauce.
So the kids see all the toys and they come running over here and they start grabbing it. It's neat because, you know, it's the toys that I used to play with, and it's neat to see the kids, if they don't know what it is, to be able to explain it to them.
Hello everyone, this is John Wool with the Appalachian Channel, and I'm in Madison, North Carolina at Briggs' Family Kitchen and Bakery, and this is Jennifer Briggs.
Hi!
And I've been here before, come back through to do another video with them and let people know, yes, they are open after Helena. There were many parts of North Carolina that was not affected by the storm, and we want to let you know that they're open and welcome your business to come and try out some of her good cooking.
Yeah, we would love to have everybody come visit.
Yes, and we're going to film her cooking. What are you making today?
So today I have some vegetable beef soup, some chicken casserole, everything homemade. We have macaroni and cheese, we have green beans, fried cabbage, and stewed potatoes. And for dessert, we have our homemade old-fashioned bread pudding made with my homemade sourdough bread.
Oh my goodness, it's going to be a good day here today. Look at all this bread that she's made up. When did you make this bread?
So this right here I made yesterday, and this I made this morning.
Okay. Well, we're going to get started. I'm going to let her start cooking, and I'm going to start filming. You ready?
I'm ready. All right, so right here is the start of our stewed potatoes. They are all fresh cut with a big old hunk of butter in there. We will basically just boil them until they cook down and become stewed. Since we're not mashing them, we still want those chunks in there, so they will just keep a cooking. And right here we have our chicken that later on will be shredded up to make our chicken casserole. So as you can see, it's already cooked down quite a bit. We want it very tender. I'll let that cook a little longer.
What'd you season that chicken with? It looks like it's
just salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper.
And I did make a chicken broth beforehand, so I took a bunch of chicken bones and fat and everything, boiled it down, strained everything out, and then I put the chicken in it to help season it a little more when I was cooking it.
all right.
And then over here we have our vegetable beef soup. We will let that simmer for a good while longer. Try and get all those tastes all blended good in together. It sure does smell good though. I'm glad that the weather's a little cooler today, so we could have some soups in here. Maybe some grilled cheeses later too. One thing that everybody is crazy about is a macaroni and cheese, which I'm about to put in the oven because I always make baked macaroni and cheese. And then we have the start of our old-fashioned bread pudding. So to do that, you have to have cubed bread. Most of the time it's day-old bread. Don't want anything to go to waste. So what we do with that is we make kind of like a custard base, and we heat it up. It's eggs, milk, a few other secret ingredients, and we'll heat that up, pour it over top of this, and let it soak in. So I'm actually going to get started on that. We have our fall festival coming up this Saturday, so my refrigerator is completely slammed full.
And you have a Facebook page too, before I forget it. It's
I
called,
do.
Tell us what it's called.
It is under Briggs Family Kitchen and Bakery. So if you just want to go give that a follow, and if you've came here and ate and you want to give it a review, I would be very appreciative. We always love to hear feedback. So what I'm doing here is just getting my milk put in for the custard base.
So tell me about your cookbook here. Is this recipes you've had for a while? Or?
Some of it. Some of them are. Some of them, like my bread pudding, I just kind of made up myself. So growing up, bread pudding was my dad's favorite recipe, or his favorite dessert. And it's really hard to find a good bread pudding because some people, if I'm my vanilla, some people put raisins or nuts or anything in it. He really didn't like that. But I tried to follow a few recipes that kind of like a base guide, and he didn't like those. So I just started making my own, and then my husband became the tester on my bread pudding. So a whisk. He became the tester, and I made several different ones and following recipes, and they just didn't turn out right. And I said, you know what? I'm just gonna wing it, and I'm gonna come up with my own. So that is what this is. So in my recipe book, a lot of them I have wrote where I got the recipes from, or who I got them from. Like if they were from a grandparent or just a friend. Like my persimmon pudding, I have a friend, her name is Dawn. She gave me her recipe, which I'm hoping to one day have enough persimmons. They're pretty hard to come by around here anyway. So I have wrote down it was from her. So one day I plan to make a copy of it. That way both of my sons can have a copy of my recipe book. And maybe I'll get it like printed or something for them for a wedding gift one day. I don't know.
Maybe eventually you'll make your own book and sell it.
Maybe, but I really don't want all my secret recipes out there because then nobody will want to come see me.
Well, people could buy the book and you can ship it to them all around the world. See, everybody can't come see you and they want some of this good cooking, you know?
That's true. That is very true. But I have had people, there's one lady that is from Australia. She has messaged me and she said, I really want your bread pudding recipe. I'm in Australia. I can't come there and try it, but it looks delicious. Can you send me the recipe? And I'm like, I guess. So
how did she see your video?
Yes, she actually saw the video that you done on us.
Yeah.
And all the way in Australia.
Yeah.
And then I guess she followed my Facebook page and saw the bread pudding.
Okay, so we didn't make bread pudding that day.
No, we didn't. And you know, everybody loves the banana pudding, but I wanted to do a little something different today because a lot of people haven't tried bread pudding, especially tried it with homemade sourdough bread, because also that's pretty hard to come by these days.
Yeah, so for people that's watching right now, we made a video here back, what, 4 months ago, something like that.
Back in April 22nd.
And I'll put a link to that video in the description of this video so you can go back and watch that one. So you're making different stuff this time.
Few different things.
So now is this butter that's floating in there?
It is.
That is butter.
A whole cup of butter right there. So that will, whenever that gets melted and we get it mixed all together, we'll pour it over this big bowl of bread. Let it soak in, and I'll pop it in the oven, and then I'll make the topping for it. So it's like a brown sugar vanilla base topping, and it is very good. A lot of people come in, they're like, I don't know about bread pudding because it does sound a little strange, but I promise it is delicious. It's one of those Depression era recipes where you had some stale bread that the kids might not want to eat, and you don't waste stuff, so turn it into something they will eat. And like I said, a lot of people put raisins in it. I personally don't like raisins in mine, and I do have a lot of people that come in and they ask me, do you put raisins in this? And I say, oh no I don't. And they say, oh thank God. I don't like raisins. especially warm raisins.
That to me seems like bread pudding's maybe a English dish or something. You know where it maybe originated from?
I really don't know. I'm not sure.
Somebody listening to the video maybe can give us some comments on where it originated from.
Yeah, hopefully so. I just know that everybody around here loves it. We have a man up the street. He's actually the funeral director just right around the corner, and he came in the last time I had it and he said, oh my God, he might even be in today since he knows I have it this week. He came in every day that week and he had bread pudding every single day, and he said, I have never had a dessert this good. So he really enjoyed it. And I have a lot of people like that. And that's why I change up the menu as much as I do, because I don't want it to be just the same menu over and over every week. You don't, because a lot of people come in to these restaurants that have the same menu, and they eat one thing and they really like it. So the next time they come, they don't want to branch out and try anything different. They want to get what they like because they know it was good. They don't want to branch out and try anything. So that's why I change the menu every week. That way, if you're coming, you're kind of forced to try something different and expand your palate a little bit, and maybe try something you might not have ever tried before.
Oh,
I did mention that in the last video.
Yes, you did. I saw it out there when I came in.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw in my macaroni and cheese. We can have that going.
So you call that baked macaroni and
Yes.
cheese?
Yes, and I'll probably let it bake about halfway through and then add in a couple different things and then pop it back in there for a little bit longer.
So what will you add to it?
Heavy cream, salt and pepper, some extra cheese, make it a little extra cheesy.
Kind of make it that little crust on the top of it?
Yeah, people really like the baked mac and cheese. Yeah, so we're getting that butter all melted and everything incorporated. Turn that up just a little bit. All right, so now that we have our milk and butter and vanilla mixture and eggs all made up and melted together, we are just going to take and pour it right over top of all this bread and let it soak in really nice. I'm going to scrape out all of that, make sure we get everything out of there. Don't want to waste anything. And then we'll stir it up, make sure everything is saturated and pushed down. Once that soaks up for about 10 minutes, we'll put it into a pan and put it in the oven to bake, and then we'll get started on the topping, which is my favorite part. But like I said, there were so many people in town that had never had this before. And when they came in, they were like, I don't really know if this is something that I'll like, but I always try and offer people like just a little spoonful of a taste. That way they don't get something, if they don't like it, they don't have a whole serving and they don't feel like it's wasted. So I'll give them just like a little taste, and they're like, this is the best thing I've ever had. And they end up taking 2 or 3 servings home with them for everybody else to try. And I have one lady that came in, her husband loves bread pudding, and she ended up getting me to make a whole bread pudding just for his birthday. So we're gonna let that sit for about 10-15 minutes, let it soak in, and I'm gonna wash this pot so we can get started on the topping. That off. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get the mac and cheese out so we can do our couple extra add-ins, and then we're gonna put the potatoes in a pan, go ahead and get them put out. Let's see, grab a spoon. Sweetie must be here. All right, so I'm gonna get some heavy cream and some cheese. Find my cheese. Just makes it a little extra creamy. It's kind of one of my secret things to where some mac and cheese, it does tend to get a little dried out, and we don't like that. So like it to be as creamy as possible. And cheesy as possible. There's not many places around here, or in general, honestly, that can make some really good macaroni and cheese. But I like to think that mine's really good. I get a lot of compliments on my macaroni and cheese, especially from the kids. I'm gonna stir all this in and then throw it back in the oven. And then some of the noodles, they'll soak up some of that heavy cream too and make it extra good and form a good crust on top. Especially with the extra cheese. I don't really do like the breadcrumbs on top or crackers or anything like that like some places do. I've noticed a lot of people most people aren't a fan of it, but it's one of those things that you either really love it or you really do not love it. And I want everybody to love it. So I leave it out just in case. Alright, see all the strings there from the cheese? That's what we like to see. Alright, so these are our stewed potatoes. Good morning. We're just gonna dump them in there. See how many we can fit in this pan. These are, thank you. It is a big hit because a lot of people do mashed potatoes, a lot of people do baked potatoes, but not many people do the stewed potatoes. And I get a lot of compliments, which are my favorite ones to hear, because they say, man, my grandma used to make these and I haven't had them since I was a child. And I never knew how to make them, and they're so simple, but everybody loves them so much, including me. These are my favorite. I used to always add a ton of Texas Pete to the point where they were like almost red. And that's how I ate them growing up. So we spray our pan pretty good, even though that has plenty of butter in it. It probably wouldn't stick, but I just like to be extra sure. Grab a little spatula, and we're just gonna pour in this bread mixture. Gonna get it patted down in there. After this, we'll throw it in the oven and get started on the topping. We'll check on our mac and cheese while we throw this in the oven too. All right, hop on over here, open that up. Cheese is looking good.
How long does the bread pudding need to bake?
Normally I bake it for about 25 minutes uncovered, and then I cover it up just about 15-20 more minutes. I still don't follow any clear directions, but normally I'll give it a little jiggle test, and if the center isn't wiggly, we're good. It's done. So I'm gonna give the macaroni and cheese about 5 more minutes, and then I'll set the timer for my bread pudding for about 20 minutes. All right, so our mac and cheese is done. See, it has a little bit of a crispy top on it. Yes, very cheesy, very creamy. Perfect. So now we'll just leave the bread pudding in there for about 20 minutes and then I'll cover it up. But in the meantime, we will go ahead and get started on our topping. I don't really measure on this. I've kind of just done it so many times that I know what 2 cups of brown sugar looks like coming from the bag. So about half a bag of brown sugar, and then 2 cups of regular granulated sugar, and then a whole block of butter. So this equals 2 cups of butter.
Now this recipe is way bigger than when somebody be making this at home, because you're
Yes.
making this to serve the public.
I think I times this by 6
Okay.
for what I would do, like if I was making it for like my family or something. This is like 6 times as big as what I would make.
Okay.
So we're just gonna put this over here and let that butter melt and let it mix in real good with the brown sugar. We'll put it on low so it don't stick, and then I'll get started cutting up our cabbage for the fried cabbage. Which I will say, a lot of people love the cabbage, and surprisingly a lot of younger people love the cabbage, which I really didn't expect that. I expected, you know, that would be something more the older people would like, because it's probably something that their parents made at home. But I have a lot of younger people that come in and they're like, you know, growing up I never liked cabbage, but I really like this. And I don't really do anything too special to it, but again, you have a lot of people that didn't grow up with good home cooked meals. Their parents worked a lot, or they just ate out, or had, you know, drive through, and then they get to come here and have their home cooked meals and have a lot of to-go orders. People want to get it for their friends or family to try, or even they have it for lunch the next day. I'll grab my pot real quick so I can dump that in there.
Is this something you ate growing up?
It is, yes. I've had a bunch of cabbage growing up. We actually, we would go to the mountains every year and get like the 50-pound bags of cabbage, and we make our own sauerkraut at home. My family made it growing up in the big crocks, and we make what is called 7-day sauerkraut. And a lot of people don't really believe in this, but we always followed the signs in the almanac. So if you had to wait until the signs were like in the head or the feet, or your sauerkraut would go bad. So what you do with 7-day sauerkraut is you chop up the sauerkraut, which we have. It's an old snow cone machine, and it would like shave the ice for the snow cones, but we use it for our cabbage. So we just put it right through, and it is the perfect consistency. And we will put it in the crock, and you put salt in it, and you just mix it. A lot of people think you have to put water, but if you just mix it and kind of knead the cabbage in with the salt, you will have like it'll kind of form its own juice. And then we like to add crushed red pepper to ours. And after it's all good, all mixed in together, you have as much as you want in there, you will put, some crocks come with like their weights and all, but we had older crocks, they didn't come with the weights. So we used like a dinner plate, and we would flip it over upside down and push down so the juice would stay on top of the cabbage. and I think it was kind of a flint rock, I think is what it was. It's just like a white river rock pretty much. We'd set it on top of the plate so it would hold the plate down. The plate wouldn't float up with the juice from the sauerkraut. And every day for 7 days you have to turn it. You have to stir it up, make sure it's mixed in really good because it's a fermentation process. And after 7 days, you're good to go. It was my favorite thing because I got to taste test every day and see how it was tasting. And that's something that me and my husband like to do now. He never really ate sauerkraut until we got together, and now he loves it. We try and make it at least once a year, several gallons at a time. So we freeze it and freeze it in like 1 pound packs, and we have sauerkraut for the year.
Now, did your mom make that or your grandmother?
My mom did, yes. So she actually learned from my dad's aunt. Her name was Whitey. She taught us how to make the sauerkraut. She taught us how to make squash relish, chow chow. We have all the recipes from her to do all that stuff. She passed away, I'm not sure the year. I was a teenager when she passed away, maybe about 16 years ago. But they would grow their own cabbage, so they didn't go buy the 50-pound bags like we did. But I swear that the cabbage that they would grow, I mean, heads of cabbage would be this big. They were the biggest cabbage I've ever seen. But I remember we would go down there. They lived down in Ashboro, and we'd go down there sometimes on the weekends. They'd call my dad and be like, "Hey, we're making sauerkraut this weekend. Do y'all want to come learn how to do it?" I'm like, yeah, of course. So they didn't have the snow cone machine like we did to do it. They actually used, it's called a king cutter. It kind of clamps onto the side of the table, and it has like different blade attachments you can put into it, and you would put the cabbage in the top and just manually crank it and turn it, and it would chop it up. So it was a really long process doing it that way, and that's when we learned that we really wanted to use the snow cone machine. So she spent a lot of time cranking that king cutter, which I'm sure a lot of people watching the video will know what a king cutter is. I actually have one at home, but I do not use it because that is a lot of work.
So I would imagine they make something electric now that you probably could chop it with.
Yeah, well that's what we use the snow cone machine for.
Yeah.
It just shreds it up.
Well, everybody doesn't have a snow cone machine.
They don't. But I'm sure they do. But I'm just adding some oil in here, and I'm going to add some salt and pepper and let it cook down. Yeah, I'm not really sure what other electric choices there would be, because that's the only thing I've ever used. But I'm sure there is some type of chopper. But ours is the snow cone machine we use is like one of the industrial ones. I'm not even sure where my dad got it from, but it's really no telling.
It sounds like you grew up around a lot of country cooking.
Yes, country cooking, country canning. We had a big garden every year. We would have bushels of beans that we'd snap and can. We had tomatoes, just a crazy amount of tomatoes we would can, and green peppers. We'd make our own pickles out of the cucumbers that we would grow. Every year still we make a big Brunswick stew in one of the big cast iron pots. I think the one that we use is a 35-gallon cast iron pot, and we make a big stew and can it, so we have stew all year round. I actually have a jar under there I don't need to eat. I brought it here for lunch one day and I forgot about it. But
so how did you put that on a fire, that 35 pot, 35 gallon, what did you say, 35?
35 gallon.
35 gallon, that's
Yep.
huge.
It is really big, yeah. You look like a big witch out there with a huge cauldron stirring
So
it.
this is an outside project.
Yes, yes.
Over open fire.
Yes, it is a big outside project, which we've also used those big pots too. Growing up, we raised hogs. So We never wasted anything on the hog. We would actually make souse meat, which some people call head cheese. We call it souse. But so in that process, you put the head of the hog in there, and you have to boil it and get all the meat out of it, and to where it's just bones. And then you have to put like the pig feet and ears in there too, because that helps it become like a gelatin, and all kinds of spices and stuff. It's really good. I eat it with vinegar and crackers. Then what? All the pig fat that we would have left over from, because we processed all of our pigs ourselves. We didn't take them to a processor. All the sausage, country ham, and everything we made ourselves. And we would take all of the leftover pork fat and make lard out of it. So you would just basically put it in that big pot over a fire and let it boil down and become lard. We still have several cases of lard at home, and that makes the best homemade biscuits.
So you all must have had a farm growing up then.
It wasn't like a big farm. I remember when I was little, we had, I think at the biggest we had like 16 hogs, and they had babies, so that wasn't counting the piglets. We had cows, we had horses. Then when we moved, we didn't take all of them with us, but they got turned into food. But I'm just stirring this to incorporate everything together, get all the butter and sugar melted down. Then I'll add in a couple more things too before it's ready. I like to let this simmer for a while. But I think we had like 6 cows, 16 hogs, 9 horses, and kind of just like doing everything ourselves. That way, anything ever happened, we would know how to be self-sufficient. And it's just a really nice thing to know. And a lot of stuff like that is just a dying art. And it's nice to be able to pass down to your children. And me and my husband have actually had pigs ourselves. And growing up, slaughtering all the hogs and everything and being a part of it, I was able to tell him some stuff on how to do it, and then making all the sausage ourselves. And it was a learning experience, but I really enjoyed teaching people about it. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't know how you can do this and then eat the animals, but I love it because I know what is being fed to these animals. I know that I've loved him and they've not been mistreated. And we're actually looking for at least two hogs now. like I need anything else on my plate to take care of, but we're looking for some pigs.
So you're going to raise those and then process them yourself?
Yep, we will do everything ourselves. We have a skid steer at home, so it has forks, and we'll be able to raise it up on there and get everything done ourselves.
So you and your husband already done one processing already? Or?
Yes, we have, and I've helped my family with countless ones before.
And growing up, what age did you start helping with that?
Probably, my mom really didn't let me be a part of it until I was maybe like 15, just because she didn't want me to be like traumatized from it. I knew it was happening, but she didn't want me to be hands-on into it. But once I was 15 or 16, I was able to be a part from start to finish.
Yeah. What did you think about it the first time you got to do it?
Oh, I loved it.
Oh.
It was.
So you're a real country girl then.
Yeah. It was an experience, but I loved it. I mean, you're learning all kinds of stuff that people years and years and years ago knew, and now people are like, oh, I'll just go to the grocery store and buy some sausage. And it's like, no, I think I'll grow my own. Luckily, there's a little store in Stokesdale that they have all the sausage seasonings, and they make it really easy to make your own sausage. You just add in as much sage as you would like to have. And if you want it spicy, you add in your crushed red pepper and all kinds of stuff. So this right here is the chicken. I'm about to strain it out into a bowl, and I'll be able to separate it and have chicken casserole, which is another really big hit. Everybody really loves the chicken casserole. It is one of everybody's favorites. So I'll just strain everything out, and then I will keep the broth as well so I can mix it in with the casserole. I have to go through and get all the bones out, but I really like using leg quarters because it just adds that extra fat and it won't be so dry. Makes it a little more tasty, I think. I personally like dark meat. I think it just has a better flavor in it. It doesn't seem to be dry like the white meat.
How many chickens did you put in there? 2?
I put 10 pounds.
10 pounds.
I'm not sure how much.
Okay, so it wasn't whole chickens.
No, it was just leg quarters. So the leg and the thighs put together.
Okay, the dark meat then maybe.
Yeah, yep, it's all dark meat, and I made it. I put it in there with the skin still on because that adds flavor. But I will take all the skin out so that doesn't get put into the casserole. But that broth right there will mix well and soak into the stuffing mix that I put in for the casserole. It'll make it extra good. Alright, so we'll let that cool before I put some gloves on and dig in. So I'm gonna empty this out and wash it up and get started on something else. Alright, so this is our bread pudding topping. I'm just going to add in some heavy cream. And again, I don't really measure that stuff. I am going to measure the vanilla though. So we add in 4 tablespoons of the vanilla. Is that 4? I think it was 3. We're going to add 1 more just in case. So we will mix this around and continue to let it simmer and incorporate until the bread pudding is done. If you don't, sometimes it'll still have the little granulars from the sugar, so I just like to let it cook until it's done. So I'm 100% positive that all of the sugar is melted. Break the sides, make sure all that is out in the pot. Alright, so we'll let that cook a little more and we will check on our cabbage. Cooking down really good. Like I said, I just use olive oil, salt, and pepper. And it's so simple, but it turns out so good. And it's such a good countryside that, again, a lot of people might not have had growing up, but they get to come here and experience it. So they really enjoy that.
How do you determine when it's done? By the tenderness of it?
Yeah, I kind of like for it to be a little translucent. So I know it's pretty much done. See, it's still pretty white and a little crunchy. But some of the smaller pieces you can see, let's see here, like those are a little translucent right there. So those are probably done, but I'm going to continue to let it cook until all the pieces look like that. Let's check on this bread pudding. Do a little wiggle test. I'm going to let it go for a few more minutes without the cover on it, just so it'll brown up a little bit more. And let's check this chicken casserole. Oh man, that looks good. I'm going to let this go a little longer as well. I'll check the temp on it in a few minutes. And then when that comes out, we'll be ready to put the topping on it. All right, so our bread pudding is all done. The chicken casserole still has a few more minutes. We're gonna get this out and put our brown sugar vanilla topping on. Oh yeah, and that is about done too. We'll be putting that in. Man, it's crazy how much it cooks down. Now you can see most of it is pretty translucent. That's when you know it's all good and done. Alright, give that one last stir. Take this and just pour it right over top. Give it a chance to soak in there. I like to put a little extra of the topping on it. Makes it extra good. Make sure it's spread out even. And she's ready to go out on the hot bar. I'll get started on another one here in just a little bit. Cut up all my bread for it. Now we are gonna put together our chicken casserole. So this is just like a cream-based soup. We're gonna pour in with our shredded chicken and chicken broth. We're gonna scrape that bowl real good. Don't wanna leave anything behind if we can help it. No waste. Alright. Then I'm gonna mix this together real good. You can see I have all the shredded chicken in there. All the legs and thigh meat in there. Get that mixed in a little bit. Then we are gonna add in our stuffing. Super simple, but like I said, some of everybody's favorites. They think it's the simplicity of it, but also where it has kind of a complex taste, but a lot of people try to overcomplicate things when they make things like this, and I think just the simplicity of it, just people really like, just like the pasta salad, which I should have had today, but I didn't. I wanted to do all hot foods today since it's high in the 50s. I'm gonna make it feel a little more like fall in here today. So we're gonna mix that in. I'm gonna add a little bit more, and then we will divvy it up between two pans and bake it for a little bit until it gets a little brown on top, and then we'll add in some more stuffing on top just to give it that crunch. Add in the rest of this bag. Kind of just like the bread pudding, we're going to let that stuffing soak up just a little bit. Mix in, try not to make too big of a mess. People are rolling in, I think. It is lunchtime. We have a lot of business owners down here that come for lunch every day, and a lot of people that work around here, they like to make their daily trips down here when we're open to come get lunch. We have a license plate agency right down the street, and they are the best about sending customers our way. They'll say, hey, Becky or Kelly or Lisa, they all send us down here. We got a tag and they told us to come get some lunch. Luckily, they don't ever leave disappointed. They leave full and ready for a nap. Alright. So we are gonna get two pans. Slide this over here. Cheat a little bit and just pour it until it looks good. Scrape it all out. Make sure that looks almost even. It don't have to be perfect. Alright, now we're going to throw them in the oven for about 10 minutes and check on them. We go serve up some lunch while they're baking. Alright, so since the last video we have added in a salad and sandwich bar. Especially during the summer, it was a big hit because everybody got their cooler little meal for lunch and it wasn't so heavy.
Something that you just want?
We have everything up here that we need for all of our salads and sandwiches. I'm making one of our signature sandwiches right now called the Kakalaki, and it has ham, turkey, chicken, and bacon on it, as well as lettuce, tomato, mayo, and onion. So it is the biggest sandwich that we offer at this time. Let me go grab a thing real quick. Like I said, this little station right here stays pretty busy. Our clubs and our chicken salad sandwiches are really the most popular ones. But like I said, a lot of people do like a big sandwich, and this is the biggest one that we have. So we have our ham and turkey right here. Stack it on. They're pretty thick slices too, and you'll see when I'm done, it is a big sandwich. A lot of people end up taking it home. That way they have the rest for lunch the next day or even supper that night. The chicken, we're gonna layer some more of that on top. There we go. We're gonna put our bacon on. Plenty of bacon. Thank you. Let's see. This one, since it is so big, I do put extra of everything. There we go. We're gonna do cheese. Colby Jack cheese was always my favorite growing up. I don't know, it kind of looked like a leopard print to me, and I was obsessed with leopard when I was little. So I think that's why I liked it so much. So we do 2 slices of tomato. Put that back in there. We do our lettuce. Lettuce on top. And then our onion. Flip that over right there. Then we will cut it in half. As you can see, that is a big sandwich. No, I'm excited to have some later.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about it.
No, you don't. Not even dessert.
Nope.
Got you covered. All right, there you go. And I will write you a ticket. All right. There you go, Miss Loretta.
Thanks.
You have a good day. Cutting these grilled cheese sandwiches. So everybody can have some with their soup. All right. What else for y'all?
Soup.
Soup? Soup? Okay. Okay. All right, you want macaroni and cabbage? Okay, just cabbage. Okay. A little bit of everything.
No, just cabbage, potatoes, and soup.
So potatoes too?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. And what else do you want with yours?
Mac and cheese, and that'll be the soup. Soup, mac and cheese.
Okay. Everybody's crazy over this soup so far today.
It's a good soup day.
Yes. And sweet tea.
Please.
All right. There you go. And I'll get your drink for you real quick. Good. John, this is Ish. He's a big fan of my bread.
Well, hello.
And he's the one going to come play for us some today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anywhere?
Just ask Smitty. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you much.
Oh, you're welcome. Yes. All right. So you remember I sent you a text probably back in July about 2 people that moved here from Florida. They saw the last video that you posted when you were here back in April. And they said, man, I really love this town and I'm just going to move here. So they made a split decision within a day, drove up here from Florida, purchased a house, and now they are full-time residents here in Madison.
So who do we have here?
I'm Cynthia.
I'm Justin.
Justin. So that's quite a story that you just found something online. How did you find it online? Did you look through Zillow, or how did you find it?
Yeah, I think it was actually on Zillow. There's a lot to it. We are still permanent residents of Florida, and we live in a condo, and sometimes that HOA drama can get a little high. So we started looking for some more country, closer to my friend in Raleigh, more central between New York and Florida, because my family's in New York, his family's in New York. So having a halfway point has been great. And we found the house on Zillow at 6 a.m. and it had been listed that day. And it was a 2-bathroom, 1-bedroom, which is perfect for us because in Florida we only have 1 bathroom. And I went in with a cash offer and not much haggling back and forth, and boom, it was a done deal. And we came down and drove over, literally overnight, got here about 6 in the morning and driving around Madison. The sun was coming up. We saw the clock tower. Really, really good feeling about it. And we got to the house. We ran with the real estate agent over to the closing, and we signed off on the paperwork. We had our little dogs, 2 little dogs with us, sitting on our laps, closing on the house. And then we literally drove over there, and we had already snuck over there and put all of our stuff on the porch so we could take it out of the car. And we got the keys, signed off, and went and moved all of our items in. Then we started walking around the town and realized that literally everything is closed on 4th of July. Everything. Dry goods was closed. No stores were open. So we had to go walk up to the old faithful Dollar General and buy ingredients to make dinner, which consisted of nachos, cheese, some frozen chicken, and some chips. So that was our first official dinner in Madison until we could come down to Dry Goods and have us a proper early dinner.
So how did you watch a video just about one store and say, that's where I want to live at?
Things.
Well, we saw the one video, then we watched the other videos, and it just seemed like such a lovely area and a small town, and we just both grew up in small towns in upstate New York, up in the mountains, and this area just seemed to be a right fit. We were drawn to here for some reason. We can't fully elaborate why, but it's just a pleasant place to be.
So I guess you liked the way the store looked, probably.
I really did. I just liked, it reminded me of growing up, and I grew up in Leeds, New York, and there was about 1 general store, a church, and an Irish center, which was your all-purpose weddings and funerals, bar and restaurant. The first place you had a drink, the last place you might ever have a drink in a small town. So it kind of reminded me of that growing up, and walking down there. And I really want my nephews to come and visit here and really experience kind of what I experienced growing up, and be able to stay and hang out with us and come visit Dry Goods. And it's really just something that I think that being kids that are growing up in 2024 would really have a good experience coming to something like this that kind of takes you back in time to when we were kids in the 1980s. So that was a big draw for us. And honestly, finding this online and seeing your original video, I'd never even heard of the Appalachian channel, if I'm even saying it correctly. And when we had driven down, we realized in an odd twist that I worked in the brewing industry, and so did he, and we always looked for the little breweries and things to go to. And we realized that we almost stopped at Hell on Horse Creek Brewing in Madison when we moved down here some time ago, or on one of the subsequent trips down. and that we never made it. And then by the time we moved here, I was very excited to go to the brewery, and it's no longer a brewery, it's a tap house. So we were like, could you imagine if we had stopped when Helen Horse Creek was open? So that was kind of one of the kismet, like, okay, we almost came here once before. So something keeps drawing us to this area, whether it is we're gonna open up a business here or we're just gonna stay here forever, because this is our third place of residency. We were in New York, Florida, and now we're here, and we still have the house in Florida. So we got to decide, are we staying full time here? So far, I like it here a lot more than Florida.
So what do you think about the restaurant here, Jennifer's Restaurant, and the dry goods?
The best cooking in town, the best store in town. I think I bought about 4 fleeces, 5 t-shirts. I like almost completely outfitted my house from this place. We eat here all the time. I told them, you're gonna go eat in town, go eat at Dry Goods, because Briggs Kitchen, Jennifer has the best food. Everything that I have tried has just blown me away. I remember watching you eat the macaroni and cheese. I said, I'm gonna be sitting there and I'm gonna eat macaroni and cheese at that place. And it was very funny to come here after seeing it on TV and sending it to some friends, and we walked in and I met Miss Tanya, and I was like, it's Miss Tanya, and then it's Jennifer, and we all took pictures together, and I bought this shirt the first day I came here, Madison. It's my favorite one, but really enjoy going upstairs. And Jennifer's little son, Connor, is an well-known local historian, and he will give you a nice tour for a little cash tip. So he gave us a nice tour became friends with Pam, my real estate agent that I bought the house from, and she came and visited. She had never been to Dry Goods. We took her to lunch here, and then we went up and we did the museum, and the door shut by itself for the second time since we've been in here up in the museum. No reason the door should have shut, but it did. So we have definitely experienced some fun quasi-paranormal things that have happened here. We definitely go upstairs. You can feel the energy change. The museum is quite interesting. So if you ever get a chance, have Connor give you a tour, because he knows just about everything there is to know about the lost and family murders.
Well, so you're glad you moved here then, it looks like.
Very much so. The people are super friendly. We've actually made some really excellent quality friends here. Jennifer and her husband Brian, we've gone out to dinner with them. They come and pick us up in the driveway in their fake taxi. Jennifer can tell you all about that. We have a whole group of friends we hang out with at Gia Distillery down the street. Almost every Friday and Saturday at night, it's cigars and just talking, and we're people from all walks of life. We have old farmers, we have guys that are just going into college, we have a few guys that are ex-cops that are retired, we have a couple that just moved here from Greensboro, and we all get together. They had a nice housewarming party up the street from us, and we just kind of found our people here. I feel like it's a little more transient in Florida. You make a friend and they move away. You make another friend and they move away. You make a friend and they're just in town for a job. Here, everybody's from here, knows everybody. You get invited to things. You feel like you're part of the community, and that was a big thing for us. We're really excited about Christmas time and Halloween, because and the fall festival this weekend. There's just so much wholesome things going on here. That's big. We're actually going to spend Christmas here. For the first time, we'll be here and not in Florida or not in New York for Christmas. We're going to get a real Christmas tree for once and decorate the house and spend time down here, do our Christmas shopping down here, spend money in Madison. We try to bring some more money into the community, and every week we go around and we definitely stop and spend money at all the places and try to kind of grow the economy after all the hits everybody's taken with COVID and even the hurricanes. And another reason we go out to Pretty's and spend some money there and try to bring awareness and tell people to go there. Same thing with here. We always tell people, make sure you go down to Dry Goods, make sure you go into Briggs Kitchen, get some food, take some food home, get some dessert. You really can't go wrong.
Well, the motto of the channel is discover the simple life.
Yeah.
So you feel like you discovered the simple life here in Madison?
I would say so.
So much more. When you live in a very extremely tourist area that's getting even more touristy, it's like it never sleeps. You don't really have a lot of peace. You can't go to a Dry Goods and get something. Like, you can go to Walmart's or Dollar General or one of the big box stores, but it's not the same. Nobody remembers your name. Here you come in, oh, it's Cynthia and Justin. How are you guys doing? How's your dog? You know, everybody knows everybody, like Jennifer's family. Oh, how's your dad doing? You know, already we only been here since July, and we feel like people know us more here than 10 years in Florida, and that's the truth. And it's when actually we had to go leave here and go back to Florida because we did a missions trip to Romania in July, and we were gone for about 10 days, maybe 12 days from here. I could not wait to get back. I just kept going. I just want to go home. And here, I really feel like we consider here home now. Even we had taken a gallon of water from here and brought it with us back to Florida, and we drank the thing. We kept going, this is a little bit of the water left from home. It just reminded us so much of Madison and our little house, and we have a yard here, and our dogs can play outside. In Florida, we're on the 5th floor. There's nowhere for them to go. They can't go out. You know, it just got to be very constricting. And here we have a whole front yard, backyard, a lawn to mow, as silly as that sounds, but you know, I went out and raked the yard. It was, you know, doing little landscaping jobs, watching the leaves fall for the first time in 10 years. It's just between the town, the community, all the activities there are to do, all the great stores there are, it just feels like home more than probably any place I've been. And on a whim, watching an Appalachian channel video with you and seeing everything it had to offer, I couldn't get down here, you know, from Florida up fast enough. And I think after, you know, living in Florida and New York, this is definitely the best place we've been.
Well, that's an interesting story.
Wild, isn't it? To pick a place out of the blue off of a couple of videos online and pack the car and drive overnight and buy it sight unseen. We didn't even see the house, and we paid for it. It was already paid for by the time we got here.
You got a tour from the realtor's cell phone.
Virtual tour.
So she walked.
A Zoom tour. And it looked so good to me, and perfect spot, perfect price, perfect town.
Well, all right, guys, that's amazing. Appreciate it.
You started it. I would have never even known
planted the seed.
Madison until I saw your video, and I was like, and I've seen a lot of your videos. Nothing called to me like wanting to live in the area. I've seen I love them, and there's lots to do and great places, but nothing said to me like this is the next place you should go. So thank you.
Thank you guys.
Definitely.
Thank you for the interview.
We'll be watching always.
Yeah.
Hey y'all, this is Smitty at Madison Dry Goods, and with me is the predecessor here, Mr. Richard Miller. He's the one that started this gem of a business 29 years ago this year. Next year we're quickly approaching 30 years.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to be continuing that.
Almost 2 years in your hand.
That's right. That's right. I'm still learning, Richard. I'm still learning.
You know, he's doing a great job. We couldn't have sold this business to anybody better than Smitty. I mean, it's the, you know, he's continued on with things, and he's put some things in to add for more for the customers, and we hear nothing but good news all the time. But you know, I don't bother him. I come by every once in a while, not to check on him, just to see what's going on. But it's been a blessing all the way around. But one thing about retirement and doing things like that, I got to buy a retirement toy.
Hey, that's right.
So I want to bring it by and show Smitty. I told him I might give him a ride in it one of these days.
You better. I paid for it, Richard.
Well, that's fine. Yeah. Geez, I would have asked for it. I'd have had a Rolls Royce instead of Studebaker.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So what year is it, Richard?
It's a 1962 Studebaker Lark Regal. And what makes it different on the Regal, it just had a little bit more chrome on it. And it's got a 259 V8. It's all original. Yeah, set in a museum up in Tennessee for about 21 years. I think they did put a paint job on it about 24 years ago, but it's runs good and just something to cruise around in occasionally.
So the paint job's almost as old as the dry goods.
Yeah. So, well,
it's a beautiful car.
Well, thank you. It's a little bit. You just don't see very many Studebakers around. There's some, but not too many.
Have you added anything to it, Richard?
Oh, just fine-tuned it. I put the wide white walls on it, and I found original hubcaps and put a new dash. Just things to fine-tune it to bring it back to its original appearance. But it drives really good and everything. And
well, I'll tell you, when you pulled up, you could barely hear it running. The engine runs so good.
Yeah, it's all original engines, a 259. They had 289s and 259s. This is a 259 V8 engine. But what's interesting about Studebakers, they quit making them in '66, so they're not a rarity, but they're kind of a rarity. You don't see very many at a car show.
Yeah.
But the engines in here are forged steel instead of cast iron, and that's why they're really good engines. So they last a long time, and they're particularly good in cold weather, and which is starting to come in now, but won't be that cold.
Yeah, yeah.
But this is a good time of year to get out and drive around. A lot of car shows and just get out and.
Well, I've seen you going to a lot of car shows locally, so.
Yeah. It's only Studebaker there usually. But
well, you're enjoying that. I'm
enjoying the whole lot, but yeah, we'll take a cruise at one of these days.
Yeah. No, it's nice. And are the seats original, Richard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as I know, it is.
What, do you know what the mileage is on it?
88,000.
88,000 original mileage.
Yep. And what's interesting about these, see the floorboards when you come up, there's no ridge. And they promoted it and advertised it in the magazines and back there, a lady's car, because they wouldn't catch the high heels coming out.
Oh, really?
You could just go out of it. And this was considered their luxury car, the Regal, in all their advertisements. And I have all the original advertisements for it. Also, I have the original bill of sale and all the work that's been done to it all these years too. So I'm real fortunate to be able to acquire that with the purchase of the car.
Well, it's amazing, the details. I was just looking at the back seat, the belt buckles there.
Yeah. Now the seat belts, those were optional in 1962, so the people that bought this had those put in. In '63, they were mandatory.
Wow.
But I still feel naked when I get in and just slap that around my waist. There's nothing over my shoulder. So so what they did that year, they promoted the padded dash. I guess that's supposed to save you getting to wreck that padded dash.
Makes you feel a little bit better.
Yeah,
huh?
but that was the first year they came out with the padded dash.
Yeah. Well, kids nowadays, of course, them coming in the dry goods, I kind of quiz them about certain history. Of course, rolling up and down windows, where did that saying come from?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Ashtray on the back seat.
Yeah.
It's got a cigarette lighter up front. No cup holders.
Ah, that's Kathy's job, huh?
Yeah,
your wife.
no cup holders, but no CD player and all that stuff. I could convert that over to there's ones you can buy that you can put CD or stereo, but I kind of like the old. I want to keep it original as I can.
Yeah. Well, you've done a good job, that's for sure. It's
thanks.
like I said, when you pulled up, it's so quiet, it's amazing.
All I have to do is wax it and keep it clean, and that's about it.
Well, you've been keeping it waxed pretty good, it looks like.
Yeah, but it's pretty tight. It's not perfect, but it's in pretty good shape.
All right. Thanks for bringing it down.
Oh yeah. Well,
good to see you again.
Yeah,
I always enjoy chatting with you.
Well, I always enjoy chatting, and I know that Smitty appreciates you coming here to his store, but I know the whole county appreciates everything you do in Stokes County and all the other places you visit, like Pretty's store and some of the other places that they complement each other, and you've done a good job on that. I watch it and I hear a lot of good news. In fact, I just came back from Pretty's store and someone had seen it on your channel, and that's why they were there.
Yeah.
So it's good, and I know that we appreciate it. I know Smitty does a whole lot, and the town does too.
I appreciate getting to come. I appreciate you putting up with me.
Yes, absolutely. We enjoy having you, and you have customers that come in and move to Madison just because of the channel. So we're grateful for that.
Yeah.
Good talk to you guys.
Yes,
all right.
thank you.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
All right, so this is Lucas. He is one of our newest additions to the team. He's been here for about a month and a half, 2 months now.
Wow.
He helps me out, and he's been a great addition.
No, I love it. And I love her too. She's great. Okay.
All right, and now we are just gonna cut up some of these beef into beef chunks, so we can have more for our soup. Everybody loves a good meaty vegetable soup. So I don't like to put too much fat in there, so I do trim around some of the fat. And a lot of the fat I save later for personal use. When we do sausage or something, we put beef fat in with our sausage when we make it at home. So I save the beef fat in the freezer, and that gets put to use at a later date. We don't want to waste anything around here. So we're just cutting these up into smaller pieces, and it'll all go into that soup that everybody has loved today.
All right, guys, I'm back here with Smitty again, and we are outside of the Madison Dry Goods, and he added Briggs Family Kitchen, and you might have saw that video on the last video with Jennifer here, and then we're back again today filming Jennifer cooking. And I was just asking Smitty, I'm like, if people come to visit, what else can they do around here besides come here? This is a beautiful little town, and I know there's some other places they'd want to visit. So tell us about it.
Yeah, so the town's been around since 1818, so it's quite old. It was named after James Madison, our president, and it originally started as a tobacco town, but you know, it's evolved much more than that now. We have a lot of family-owned businesses, small businesses here in town. You know, just across the street is Eclectic Calico. They are family-owned. They've been there for just over 10 years, and they sell all kinds of stuff: handcrafted items, vintage items, repurposed goods, clothing that people repurpose. Jewelry, all kinds of stuff. So if you like what you see at the dry goods store, you'll definitely want to check out Eclectic Calico. They have some great offerings. Further down the street is also the sewing shop. So if you're into fabrics or anything like that, and you need any sort of fabrics, believe me, they have it down there, so they can assist you with that. So when all the ladies are down there purchasing and going through all the different fabrics, the men typically wander down here into the dry goods. We have a good conversation. And then the wife joins and they have lunch and everybody's happy. Further down the street, we have Bluestone Ivy, which is a women's, mainly a women's clothing boutique. It's Western themed, so you know, if you're into the Western wear, which is really popular now, that's a great place to shop as well. Just on the other side is Salem and Charlie. Salem and Charlie is also catered to women. They have purses, they have jewelry, clothing, they have all kinds of stuff, and you'll be greeted with by nice Southern women. Let me tell you, that they have the thick accents. You'll know you're in the right spot when you go in there. They'll make you feel real welcome. Just down the street here on the left, on the same side of the street as the dry goods, is the Mad Bean. They have great coffee, all kinds of coffee. So if you ever need any coffee here in town, that's a great place to go as well. And that's the old funeral home in town, one of the two, now three, that was in town. But the floors are all original, the bookshelves that are in there are all original, so you're really stepping back in time, much like you do when you come to the dry goods store. You have River Club, which is a great building. You know, it's a bar now, and that building was quite dilapidated several years ago, and we had somebody that came in and completely saved that building from being demolished. It was about to fall in on itself. Further down, you have all kinds of, you have a couple restaurants down there. Southern Spirits is down there. That's a great restaurant. You have Bumble and Birch. They do wood crafts. She does custom orders, so if you're interested in those kind of things, then you definitely want to check her out. If you go further up the street here, past the intersection on the right, you have Bob's Restaurant. That's been there for many, many decades and is a staple here in town. You have a jewelry store up there. You have Loretta's Vintage Wear, which is all kinds of vintage clothing. She has vintage toys. Definitely, if you're into that vintage wear, you want to check her out. You also have Wandering Sun Meadery. Wandering Sun Meadery is the only mead tasting room in the entire Triad in North Carolina.
The only what?
The only meadery.
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 Okay.
Not meatery, but meadery.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So mead is basically fermented honey. So they get local honey into their store, and they have a method that they go about, and it's sort of like a wine, but it's honey based. So it's good for you. It tastes good, and it's been around for thousands of years.
Okay, that's new to me.
Yeah. So you'll have to check that out sometime, and they're open typically on the weekends. And actually, they just expanded to Winston-Salem, which isn't too far away from here, but that's the big city. So if you want to come in to the small town, definitely check out the meadery. You also have Madison Cork Supply. They have all your needs as well for wine, beer, all kinds of stuff down there. Another great place actually that's further down past Southern Spirits is called Gia's. And Gia's is a distillery, and they make all their whiskey. It's a whiskey distillery, and they make their whiskey here in Madison. And you can actually find that all around North Carolina, Virginia, and it's very good as well. Further down here as well, just across from the quilt shop, is Vibe. Vibe does nutritional drinks, so if you're interested in maintaining your health, they have meal drinks. So instead of eating the great meals at at Briggs, if you want to go a completely healthy route, they have protein shakes, all kinds of stuff down there as well. You got Johnson's Grill that's down there. If you like hot dogs, hamburgers, they serve those. That's within a walk of downtown. And really everything downtown is within walking distance. There is a short incline, but other than that, everything's within walking distance. And our town's isn't big, but it's a beautiful town. The most iconic thing actually here in town is the clock tower, which if you look down Murphy Street, down at the very end, you'll see a clock tower, and on it says 1919, and the clock still works. That was built in 1919, and it was built in commemoration for the World War I veterans that served here in Madison and in Rockingham County. And on the clock face, it actually says in memory of all those who served. And every hour, on the hour, you'll hear the clock ding. There's a Airbnb that if you want to stay in is right across the street. They call it the Clock Tower Suite. It has a great view of the clock tower. We have Airbnbs in town, all kinds of places for you to stay when you come visit. And you can make a weekend of it, you can make a week of it, and you'll definitely enjoy everything that you see here in the big old town of Madison, as I call it.
So tell me, we've probably talked about this before, I can't remember. Did you grow up here or close? Or?
Yeah, so I grew up in Stokesdale, which is, well, I guess it's even smaller than Madison, just south of here, a little bit further from Virginia. But, with it being such a wide county or big county, but with a lot of small towns, people have to be transported from, it took me 30 minutes to get to my high school. So I would get on the bus in Stokesdale and come up to Madison Mayodan for high school and for elementary school, middle school, all those. And so Madison is the town next to Mayodan. We call it Madison Mayodan. They're two separate towns, but this is where all the schools are. So that's how I ended up here in Madison.
All right. Yeah, I knew you grew up close. So you was here as a kid growing up, been here your whole life, and I guess you shopped here with Richard at the. Did you come in and buy stuff from Richard at the dry goods store originally, or how did you get contact?
I had a buddy that lived just up the street, and we would come and eat actually at Bob's restaurant that I just told you about, and go up there and get some biscuits and go up there and eat. And part of the path of walking is the dry goods you see, which is one of the largest buildings here in town. Of course, it's one of the most original, but passing it, you see it makes a statement. So we decided to stop in there, and that's how I ended up talking to Richard. Not only that, but when you wanted to have some fun on the weekends, you would come to town or you would go to the river, which is just a hop, skip, and jump, as we say. But it's not too far away. It's Madison River Park. And you can kayak, you can tube, and we call it the lazy river of Rockingham County. So it's pretty slow. So there's no white water or anything like that. So definitely, if you want to have a smooth sailing weekend and just enjoy yourself on the river, you can go out there and have a good time on the river.
So people can kind of understand what's going on here with we've got the dry goods store, and then there's two buildings here, or one building, I guess, divided kind of in two.
That's right.
I'm not for sure. Is it two buildings or one building?
Yeah, so actually it has two separate addresses, and originally it's always been one building, but downstairs was separated into two. So the right side where all the clothing is 104 West Murphy Street in Madison. The one on the left that Briggs is in is 108. So, it was originally, when you walk into the main door here at the dry goods on the clothing side, you can walk between the two sides and go over to Briggs. that's how you access that side. But originally it was one space upstairs. Downstairs was separated. So the person that owned downstairs on the right side didn't own the second floor or the third floor above them, which is kind of interesting.
Let's walk on inside. I want to show them this doorknob right here. Is this original to the door?
Oh yes.
I always like the door handle.
Yes. Well, Richard, he had told me when I bought it, he said, you know, it's probably time that you replace it, but I can't seem to get rid of it. And you know, it's got the original locks and everything else that we still use, and you can see over time all the rings and fingers and everything else have just worn down the door. But I just can't get rid of it. So. Yeah. I'm just going to keep it.
We're going to give them a little, we're not going to walk around the store because we've done that on the last couple of videos, but I'm just going to let them see what it looks like right here because we haven't showed it on this video.
Yes.
And you've got the free library over here.
That's right. And we get new books all the time. So, and we're in the process of changing out inventory. It's finally gotten cold here in North Carolina, and we've decided it's time to bring out the colder weather gear. So when you come in, there's always going to be something new to see, and new clothing, all new kind of goodies. We've expanded the kids section again because the kids absolutely love coming in and seeing all them toys. Some of the toys that I grew up loving, I decided to bring in to share that love, and it's neat to see the kids, their eyes just light up when they see all the toys.
And you've got an upstairs, you have vendors upstairs, you have a museum upstairs.
That's right.
They can come up there and they can look around. It's not just one story, you got two stories of
That's
stuff.
That's right. And in fact, if you bring in a group that's too big to sit downstairs, we have plenty of room to sit upstairs.
Okay.
So we can accommodate about any size group that you bring in.
The last video we went through a lot of your products. You got some really neat stuff. A lot of it's made within North Carolina, a lot of it. And so yeah, thank you for showing us the town a little bit and letting people know other things that's going on.
Yes, well, I appreciate it, John. Thank you. And thank you to all the followers as well. We surely do appreciate you watching all of John's videos and supporting us here in Madison.
Okay. Do I need to cross my legs? No. You want me to take my shoes off?
No.
So sweet.
Who you got here with you?
This is the owner of Salem and Charlie.
Hey, friends. How are ya?
Yeah, I was just telling them about your store down the street.
Yes, sir.
It's just within walking distance.
We're neighbors.
Yes, and that you're expanding.
Absolutely.
So if you want to give them an idea.
Hence the overalls, yes, and the paint and the rips. So we're expanding to from 108 into 112 Murphy Street. So we're the east side. So come check us out.
What do you do down there?
Okay. It might take a minute. Okay. We have a lot of ladies' goods, home decor, flags. We carry a lot of local candles, things like that. We pride ourselves in a lot of North Carolina brands. And we have a lot of fun. Yes. Yes, we'll fix you a cup of coffee, and
So your store is the most fun one in Madison.
Well, I don't know about the most fun one, but between the hours of 9 and 6 it is. Yes.
Well, all right. Well, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, guys, it's been another great day here at Madison Dry Goods and Briggs Family Kitchen. I just enjoy so much coming around and talking to everybody, and it's like old friends coming, and catching up on things that's been going on. And tell them, what days are you not open on?
Well, right now we're not open on Sunday. The main store is not open on Sunday, so it's Monday through Saturday 10 to 6, and then Briggs.
Yes, we're open Wednesday through Saturday 11 to 4.
All right. Well, would you like for people to come visit y'all?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Well, we're going to put this video on and they'll watch it and hopefully they'll show up.
Yes, thank you. Thank you
so
for
much.
everything.
All right, we'll see y'all next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.